flashing lights are amber on the inside, red on the outside on both sides, and they're clean and functional. My windshield is clean, there's no illegal stickers or obstructions, and it's not damaged or broken, and it's functional. And my windshield wiper blades are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. The blades are not torn, damaged, or broken in any way, and they are functional as well.
Okay.
My right side flank convex mirrors and brackets are securely mounted, no loose or missing parts, and the glass is clean with no illegal stickers or damage or obstructions, and it's also functional.
Okay.
My right side crossover mirror and bracket is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, the glass has no illegal stickers or obstructions, and it is undamaged, clean, and functional.
Okay.
Alright, my left side flattened crossover mirror and bracket is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, the glass has no illegal stickers or obstructions, it is undamaged, and it is clean and functional. And my left side crossover mirror and bracket is securely mounted, there's no loose or missing parts, and the glass has no illegal stickers or obstructions. It is undamaged, clean, and functional. All right, my side markers on both sides are amber in color, and they're clean and functional. My left and right turn signal and hazard lights are amber in color, and they are clean and functional. And my left and right headlights, both high and low beams, are white in color, and they are clean and functional. Underneath the bus, there's no debris, obstruction, or leakage, and the bus is not leaning to the left or to the right.
Okay.
All right. So to test my oil level, I would take out the I'd take out the dipstick. I would wipe it off, reinsert it, take it out again to make sure it's within proper operating level, and then I would reinsert it.
Okay.
To check the automatic transmission fluid, I would take out the dipstick, wipe it off, and reinsert it, pull it out to check and make sure it's within proper operating level, and then reinsert it.
Okay.
The coolant reservoir is at proper operating capacity. The cap is securely mounted and tight, and the upper and lower hoses are securely mounted. They're undamaged, and there's no leaks.
Okay.
My air compressor is securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts, and it is undamaged, and there's no leaks as well, and that is a gear-driven component.
Okay.
My automatic steering reservoir, I would check the level by pulling out the dipstick, wiping it off, reinserting it, taking it out again to make sure it's within proper operating level, and then reinserting.
Okay.
My steering box is securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts, and it is not cracked, damaged, or broken. And that is also a gear-driven component.
Okay.
My pitman arm, drag link, and tie rod are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken, and they're not. There's no loose or missing parts, including nuts, bolts, or cotter keys.
Okay.
My frame is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts. It's also not bent, and there are no illegal welds.
Okay.
My front and rear mounts and hangers are securely mounted. There's no cracked, there's no loose or missing parts, and they are not cracked, damaged, or broken. My leaf springs are securely mounted. They're not. There's no loose or missing parts, and they're not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's also no illegal welds, and they're not missing. My U-bolt and hanger, no, my U-bolts and bushings rather, are securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts, and they are not cracked, damaged, or broken.
Good.
And my axle is securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. It is not cracked, damaged, bent, or broken, and there are no illegal welds.
Okay.
My brake hose, line, and coupling are securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no leaks.
Okay.
My shock absorber is also securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken, and it is also not leaking.
Good.
My brake chamber is securely mounted. There's no cracks or damages. It is not missing any parts, and there's no loose parts, and it is also not dented or leaking.
What's before that?
Is the slack adjuster
That's next.
after the brake hose, line, and coupling, but before the brake chamber?
Oh, you got it.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I did the
Okay.
brake hose. Yeah, okay. So the brake hose, line, coupling is securely mounted, not cracked, damaged, broken, no leaks. And the brake chamber,
That
all
was
of those
on
things
me.
as well. Oh, no, that's fine. The slack adjuster and push rod are securely mounted. There's no loose or missing parts. And with the tires chalked and the parking brake release, If I pulled on the push rod, it would not move more than an inch.
Okay.
My brake drum is securely mounted, no loose missing parts,
Mm-hmm.
no cracks or damage, and there's no oil or grease.
Okay.
The brake lining, where visible, is not worn dangerously thin.
Okay.
My tire tread and sidewall is
Mhm.
evenly worn, and there's no tears or cuts or damage.
Okay.
My tire tread depth is no less than 4/32 of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
My rim is securely mounted. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts. There's also no illegal welds.
Okay.
My lug nuts are all present. They are not cracked or damaged, and there's no sign of looseness, such as shiny threads or rust.
Okay.
My hub oil and axle seal is not leaking.
Mm-hmm.
And then my valve stem and cap is securely mounted. It's not leaking, broken, or damaged.
Okay.
And if I were to read the tire pressure on the gauge, the interior gauge, it would read between 90 and 120 psi.
Good.
All right, my AC compressors, both upper and lower, as well as my alternator and my water pump, are all securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts.
Mm-hmm.
The water pump is also not leaking, and all of those components are belt driven.
Okay.
My serpentine belts are securely mounted. They're not frayed, worn, or damaged. And if I were to push on them, there would not be more than 3/4 of an inch play in the belt tension.
Okay.
My upper and lower radiator hoses are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken, with no loose or missing parts, and there's no leaks in those.
Okay.
My frame is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken, or bent. There's no illegal welds, and it's not damaged or broken.
Good.
My shock absorber is securely mounted. It is not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts, and there's no leakage.
Mm-hmm.
My front and rear mounts and hangers are securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts.
Good.
My leaf springs are securely mounted. They're not cracked, damaged, or broken. They're not missing or bent, and with no illegal welds.
Okay.
And my U-bolts and bushings are securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no loose or missing parts as well. My axle is still not cracked, damaged, or broken. It's not bent. There's no illegal welds, and is not missing any parts.
Okay.
All right, my brake hose line and coupling are securely mounted. They are not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no loose or missing parts. They're also not leaking.
Mm-hmm.
My brake chamber is securely mounted. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, or dented, and there's no loose or missing parts. It is also not leaking.
Okay.
My brake drum is securely mounted with no loose or missing parts. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken, and there's no signs of oil or grease. And my brake lining, where visible, is not worn dangerously thin.
Good.
My tire tread and sidewall are evenly worn. There's no tears, wears, cuts, or damage. And my tire tread is no less than 4/32 of an inch.
Okay.
My rim is securely mounted, no cracks or damage. It does not have any loose or missing parts, and there's no illegal welds. My lug nuts are all present. They're not cracked or damaged, and there's no sign of looseness, such as shiny threads or rust. My hub oil and axle seal is not leaking. And my valve stem and cap is present. It's not cracked, damaged, or broken. There's no leaks, and if I were to measure the air pressure on the internal gauge, it would read between 90 and 120 psi.
Not the internal gauge on a tire gauge.
Oh, you're right.
On a tire pressure gauge.
That's right.
All right.